Hey guys, we are Ariel, Tori, and Austin, and welcome to This Is How We Mom, a real unfiltered podcast from three mom friends navigating motherhood, marriage, and life in our 30s. No fluff, no curated answers, just honest conversations and genuine reactions. Each episode, one of us brings a surprise topic to the pod, and the other two have no idea what's coming. We share our perspectives, our chaos, and our meltdown of the month, because with 6 kids under 4, there's always something wild to laugh or cry about. Expect candid mom talk, relatable stories, toddler drama, and plenty of humor. This is our outlet for surviving motherhood, and we'd love for you to join in on the ride.
We laugh so we don't cry.
Right. Well, welcome to my life. It's sad as fuck, so here we go.
Okay, here we go.
Well, we definitely did not save the best for last, so I'm just letting you guys know right now. Okay. So, I was fortunate enough to get pregnant very quickly with my now living daughter. She was my first ever pregnancy. I had a relatively normal pregnancy with her. Wasn't sick. Relatively uneventful pregnancy. Luke and I, my husband, did all the things. I went in and did the carrier screening and the genetic testing that you get super early on. And I came back being a carrier for a disease. It's ARPKD, which stands for autosomal recessive polycystic kidney disease. And it's a recessive gene, so both parents have to have it or be a carrier for it for you to even have a chance of having a child with this disease. So they called me and told me that, and they were like, okay, like, bring Luke in, we'll just test his blood. He gets tested, his comes back fine. Fast forward, I get induced by choice at 39 and 6. I had an easy labor. I did the same thing with you. That you did the first time around. Like, I wanted to see, like, what labor felt like. I had never had a contraction before, you know. I wanted to test my body. I have a very high tolerance for pain, so I wanted to see how much I could handle. I think I labored for, like, 6 hours before I got the epidural. Pushed for about an hour and a half. She came out. She needed... it's called CPAP, which is continuous positive air pressure is what it stands for. She wasn't moving oxygen well enough, but she was on CPAP for like maybe 5 minutes, and then I got her. She was fine. Like, we were so blessed. We went to Mom Baby. I was discharged the next day. It was great. Struggled a little bit with like milk production, which we will touch on when we have our probably full episode on breastfeeding, but it is a blessing. But other than that, I mean, she was healthy. I find out that I'm pregnant when she's 9 months old, and I shit my pants. I was not ready. I knew that I wanted more children. I did not have a timeline. I was also really, really struggling with my mental health. At that point in time, I've always kind of struggled intermittently with depression. Went on antidepressants before I got pregnant with Lila. And when I was pregnant with her, I was on Prozac. And I liked it a lot because my depression gets worse when my energy levels are low. And then it's like a vicious cycle, you know. And Prozac helped a ton with my energy levels. And I was seeing the same practitioner when I was pregnant with Lila. And then I saw the same one, like, after I delivered her. And she was like, well, are you breastfeeding? There's not enough studies that show that Prozac is safe for breastfeeding.
But fine for, like, a pregnant woman.
Right. Yes. Because they don't know, like, how much crosses into the breast milk, which I get. They just err on the side of caution with so many medications. Oh, yeah. So they switched my antidepressants, and I was in the trenches of postpartum, dude. And let me tell you, you guys, this whole segment of the podcast is going to be really depressing, so I apologize ahead of time. I have never been suicidal in my entire life until that point in time. There were nights when I was driving home after closing the bar, and I had to call my mom and have her talk me out of killing myself when I went home. I literally was like the lowest of low.
People don't talk about
People
that,
don't
though.
talk about that.
People don't talk about the fact that antidepressants can do the exact opposite, which
And
is throw
switching,
you
yeah.
into
Your
where you
hormones are on
were
a high,
because of
you're switching in a
yeah,
horrible
like
state.
everything,
Yeah.
like
The wrong antidepressant absolutely
And
can
then
make you more
switching,
depressed.
that period is so dangerous,
Yeah.
you guys. And there's a period of time where it's
What a
just
mess.
like you're a fucking mess, dude.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
no
and you're
other-
already a mess because you have a newborn.
yes.
And you were exhausted
Sleep
and
deprived.
worried.
Yeah,
all
like
of that on top.
I work night shift as a nurse, so I'm always I had to go back to work when she was 9 weeks old because I just started that job 4 months before I had her.
So you had no time.
So I
off.
had like no time off. This was before the Colorado law came
the
in,
family.
where like
well,
the family
it's the year we
leave-
paid for it.
Right.
It's just
but
not
I didn't
the year
get
we
to
got
use
it.
And then right around the time that she got to be 9 months old, I felt like I was getting a little bit more stabilized with my meds. I wasn't suicidal anymore. I definitely felt better overall. I also had stopped. I had to exclusively pump because for most of the time she did latch well. She just wasn't gaining enough weight. She wasn't very big, and she was full term. She was 40 weeks.
Yeah.
They even asked me when I delivered her, like, she was like super cheesy still, which is like all of that. It's called vernix. It's supposed to come off like the last like couple weeks that you're pregnant. It just kind of sheds.
Yeah.
And she was covered. And I remember she came out and they were like, "Are we sure she's full term?" And I'm like, "Do you want to ask me?"
Like, I think the fact that they kick you out of being a high risk or, like, anything of that with just such little
Yeah.
checkups because you're a first-time mom with no
Yeah.
With no history.
They don't have history, so
they,
you're fine
they just
until
kind of
you're
push
not
it off
fine.
until you're not.
Yeah.
Even in terms of, like, even if it's not extra imaging, I think everybody should have to do blood draws.
I agree.
Maybe not once a
100%.
month, but they should be, like, every other month,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like...
I don't see the harm in more ultrasounds and more blood draws. Like,
It's
why?
just- they always
honestly,
say
though, it's just, it
insurance.
uses resources. That's what it is.
Right.
Like, they
So-
don't have, like, and this is a whole rabbit hole
So
we can
there
get down
is,
to.
yes, that'll be that can be another table it, another podcast, but like, it's only because of the effect that it is on the resources.
Correct.
There is no detriment to the moms.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, with what we pay.
I mean, it's shitty. The medical
with
field-
what we pay in
it's
health
all-
insurance, with what
Yeah,
we
big
pay
pharma.
to have a baby, and it's because it's going to cost me more. It's going to cost somebody more time, resources, energy.
Well, and also the
money.
resources aren't there. They don't want to pay an ultrasound tech to do another ultrasound on another healthy individual. Why?
Yeah.
It's stupid.
It
It
is.
sucks.
It is, like you
But-
said, a big rabbit hole.
It is. But Lila was always measuring, like, on the smaller side, especially her limbs. But, like, my mom is 4'11", dude.
Yeah.
So,
Right,
like, that's
like-
not surprising.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
not that
5'7",
surprised.
Luke's 5'10", 5'11".
Right.
Like, we're
These are
normal
tall
size.
people.
My mom, not so much, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not surprising. And it's really funny because now looking at her, she literally stomps around the house like my mom. She is built like my mom. She is
she's
such a
dense.
mix between my mom and my husband. It's creepy. I get in a better place. I find out I'm pregnant again. And it was a shock, but I was also like, wow, I am so blessed. I'm grateful that, like, I can get pregnant so easily, because I know quite a few people that have struggled. However, I will say that there was an adjustment period mentally where I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Like, they are going to be 18 months apart on the dot. And that is going to be extremely difficult. You know, my husband and I were, like, struggling a little bit financially as well. It is so expensive in Colorado. And I'm working 2 jobs, you know, like, and trying to be a mom and paying for childcare and all those things. It was really stressful. So now looking back, I beat myself up sometimes, like, being stressed about
Yeah.
getting pregnant again, because I'm like, you know what, like, you're going to make it work, you know? So, once again, uneventful pregnancy, aside from I was like 19 weeks and I walked into work one night and I had really bad cramping, like almost like a contraction. And I immediately, like, it was so intense, I ran in the bathroom and I threw up right away. And I was like, this is so weird. So I was like, I'm just going to call. Like, I'm not, L&D, a lot of people, labor and delivery, does not take patients before 20 weeks. a lot of people don't know that. So, like, when people check into the ER, if you're 20 weeks and over and it is an obstetrical complaint, you go right up to to labor and delivery. If it is something that could potentially not be obstetric related, you get checked out in the ER, and then if you're cleared by the ER, you go up to labor and delivery. So I was just before that cusp. I was 19 weeks. And so I called the on-call OB, and it was the doctor that delivered my daughter that answered. He's like, just come upstairs. Like, I'll just check you out. So I go up there, and he's checking me out. He's like, Tori, like, baby looks fine. You're not in labor. He was like, you look uncomfortable. I just don't know what's wrong with you. And then he's like, I'm going to call surgery just to have them come and look at you. And the surgeon comes and looks at me, and he presses right down here on my right lower quadrant, and he's like, I think you have appendicitis. So I get the MRI result, and it says, like, suspicious for acute appendicitis. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to surgery. So then I called Luke, and I'm like, hey, buddy, so I'm at work still, but I'm not working. I'm going to be going to the OR. And then he comes in.
As the patient, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, so the surgeon comes in, and he's like, I just want to get it out.
Right.
And I'm like, fine, do it. But then I was also concerned because I'm 19 weeks pregnant. Like, I understand what they give you for surgery. Yeah. Is this all safe? And ultimately, at the end of the day, the benefits of getting your appendix out outweighed all of the risks. But I had so much guilt. I was like, why couldn't I have had this when I was not pregnant? So I had an appendectomy at 19 weeks. And the recovery sucked because your stomach is expanding, and that's exactly where they cut. They usually do it laparoscopically, so it's only 3 little scars, but because I was pregnant, they had to do an open appendectomy, so they sliced me open. But I recovered well, nonetheless. And then right around that time, they do, like, anatomy scans. Yes. And I remember my first anatomy scan, they said everything looked fine, but he's, like, really scrunched up. They called it suboptimal positioning. They just couldn't measure, but they said his abdomen does look a little enlarged, but, like, not crazy. Like, nothing concerning. We knew he was a boy. We found out at Lila's first birthday, and it was super fun. So, fast forward, they do 2 more anatomy scans. At my third one, I was 28 weeks. So they were spaced out. Yeah, they were unfortunately spaced out quite a bit. So my 28-week anatomy scan and appointment, I could tell the ultrasound tech was, like, scanning me for a lot longer. And she was like, well, your fluid levels are looking a little bit low. And I'm like, okay, I'll take note of it. But, like, I drink a lot of water, and this was not an issue my first pregnancy, so I'm not really sure, like, what's going on. So I meet with the NP and right after that, and she's like, so your fluid levels are really low. Like, concerningly low. And I was like, okay, so what causes this? My clinical mind is going crazy. Right. Like, I'm like, give me the steps of how this occurs. And she's like, usually at this gestation, it is a direct reflection of kidney function. Because at a certain gestational age but they start to drink the amniotic fluid and then make urine and urinate, and then it's just like a constant cycle. So in a sense, she's kind of insinuating that the baby is drinking the amniotic fluid but is not making urine and is not urinating it out effectively. So she's like, I need you to go see the MFM. I'm not sure what's going on. She was like, it could be kidneys. It could be baby's not drinking the water. It could be, like, a couple things. We don't know. So they got me in right away, which I also was like, that's crazy. Why is this happening? So I go to the MFM, and Luke meets me there. And they do another scan. And this MFM was, like, very dry. Which in the moment I was extremely put off and offended. Right. However, now I appreciate her bluntness, and just be honest about everything. She said your baby's kidneys are enlarged and they look extremely bright on ultrasound. That's called hyperechogenic. She said, to me, I am suspicious for ARPKD. And I said, wow, that's crazy that you bring that up because I am a carrier for it. And she said, what? She didn't even look at my chart. She had no idea that I was a carrier. And I said, yeah, I'm a carrier, but his test came back negative. She said, I'm sending a referral to Children's. You need to go to Children's, and you need to see them. She said, I'm concerned about the baby's kidney function. And I will never, her words haunt me to this day. She said, there are some couples at this point would choose to terminate their pregnancy. And that was such a slap in the face. Like, I was like, hold the fuck up. 5 hours ago, I was 28 weeks with a healthy pregnancy. And now all of a sudden you're telling me that someone else in my shoes would terminate their very desired pregnancy. I got in the car with Luke and I bawled my eyes out. Yeah. I was like, I don't even know what this means. I don't even know. We made the appointment with Children's. It sounds echoes.
And how long did it take between those appointments? Like, when did you?
It was like a week and a half.
Yeah, wasn't it like a week?
Yeah, it was a week and a half. So I went.
Long waiting.
I
Still
went
spiraling.
to Children's. Yeah, I went to Children's at 30 weeks, and I will tell you guys, like, that is just like imposter syndrome, like, to a T. Like, you're carrying around this very desired pregnancy and you have absolutely no idea if they're healthy or not. Mm-hmm. It was incredibly difficult. Like, going to work visibly pregnant, people are like, oh, how's the baby? And I'm just like, I don't know. So I go to Children's, and at that point I'm 30 weeks. And they do an ultrasound, they do an echo, they do an MRI, and then you meet with a genetic counselor. And she comes in the room, and she's like, just, you know, chatting about like our family history, Luke's family history. And she asked if we did the carrier screenings. And I said yes. And she said, did you test Luke? And said yes. And she's like, I'm going to call the lab because I want his full report. So she comes back like 20 minutes later, and she said, so I called the lab, they released his full report, and it shows that he has a variant of unknown significance, which in layman's terms means he has a variant of a gene that is not linked to causing any disease. It doesn't mean it doesn't cause a disease, they just don't have the data to support that. Get this, it is the same gene that is mutated, or my variant, that causes autosomal recessive polycystic kidney disease. So it's the PKHD1 gene, which is responsible for forming your kidneys. So he has an unknown variant of that gene, and then I have a variant of that gene that is linked to causing this kidney disease. It is a 1 in 25,000 chance that you meet someone and mate with someone that has a variant of the same gene. So she's basically saying, walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's probably a duck, but we don't know, right? And she's not a doctor, so she's not, you know,
right,
telling us anything. So we go in this waiting area, waiting for all these specialists to, like, come together, because then the end of the appointment, you go into this conference room with all of these specialists, and they go over the results of the imaging and all of that. So they finally call us in, and it's like a neonatologist, a pediatric nephrologist, the radiologist that was reading all of the images. So the pediatric nephrologist is a pediatric kidney doctor, and the neonatologist is the one that usually takes care of NICU babies and, you know, newborns. So, you know, there's all sorts of people in there. And basically they're just telling me that, like, this is what they think it is, that it's ARPKD. And they're like, you know, this used to be a fatal diagnosis. However, like, with advances in medicine nowadays, like, they're able to keep these babies alive a lot longer, but the prognosis is not great. So with the imaging, they saw the same thing: large kidneys, hyperechogenic kidneys. They look almost white. The abdomen was enlarged. His lungs were smaller. They didn't have the room to develop fully. So he would essentially need to be intubated right after birth. They don't know the extent of the kidney failure so basically with this disease, they form cysts on their kidneys, and they continue to grow with the tissue itself. And the cysts start to impede on kidney function, and it varies with each case. like the extent of the kidney function is variable when they're born. But essentially, for him, it didn't look great. So they were like, well, he's going to need to be on dialysis pretty much right away. Your baby's going to live at Children's Hospital for the first at least year of his life. That I will forever be grateful for this pediatric nephrologist at Children's. He was so real and just honest. I know that he takes care of these babies for a living, but did not leave out anything. Like, he was very, very factual. Told me that he sees so many people get divorced after having these children because it is so stressful. Told me that usually at least one parent has to quit their job because they transition them from hemodialysis to peritoneal dialysis. So basically you need a full-time caretaker. So like, that would probably be me.
Yeah.
So I would have to quit my job and take care of this baby full-time and give them dialysis. And the life expectancy of these babies is like 3 years, because usually with all of these invasive things, you are at such a high risk for infection. He would never be able to breastfeed. He would have a feeding tube right away. And then a lot of people don't know how impactful your kidneys are just to your bodily function in general. Your kidneys also secrete hormones that maintain your blood pressure. So these babies end up on blood pressure medication, and in turn it is extremely difficult to manage their blood pressure, so it's chronically high, and they end up going into heart failure. So in my head, I'm just this, once again, I'm extremely thankful. I will forever be thankful for this doctor. But in my head, I also had my mother-in-law there with me, who was an ER nurse forever. So we're both sitting there like, ding, 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 all of the things that I would not even want for myself. If somebody told me tomorrow that I would go into end-stage renal disease, I would need dialysis, I would need XYZ, all of the things that this doctor is telling me that my baby's going to need, I would not want it. Yeah. It was just a huge slap in the face. So Luke and I get in the car and we start driving home by ourselves, and I'm just like, what do we do? Mm-hmm. What the fuck do we do? And but I'll never forget Luke's response too. He's like, Tori, I feel like we don't have a choice. And at first I was so astounded that he made that decision so quickly. But now I look back and I'm like, that was all out of love, Yeah. Like, he did not want that for him at all. I said I wasn't going to cry. Sorry, guys. So we made the absolutely gut-wrenching decision to terminate our pregnancy. And I will preface this. My beliefs on abortion, I think that it needs to be an option for moms who will die if they have their babies, or babies that will die. I think it needs to be an option. I do not think it should be used as birth control in any way, shape, or form. So I was very conflicted when I made this decision, because it is not something that I wholeheartedly believe in, but I think that it needs to be an option for these very, very special circumstances. So when you're that far along, by the time I was able to get an appointment, I was 31 weeks. What they usually do is they inject the baby's heart with potassium chloride to stop the heart. And then they send you home. And then you go back to the hospital 12 hours later and they induce labor. So that's what happened. So Luke and I went to the hospital and we did the injection, and that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And then I went home with my dead baby in my stomach for 12 hours. And then I went back to the hospital and I was induced. And I had a stillbirth almost 12 hours later. And yeah, I feel like it was a really, really difficult, it was just such a slap in the face that I could not even process anything after that, as far as they're asking me all these questions, which I get. They're like, do you want genetic testing? Do you want an autopsy? Do you want to get him cremated? Do you want to bury him? Do you want, like, all these things? I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, 2 days ago I was pregnant and he was alive in my stomach, and now I'm having to, like, make all these end of life decisions for my baby. Like, I can't even take care of myself right now, you know? And I will say this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, you guys, is nobody advocated for me in that moment.
Like, you should do this, or maybe we should
nobody.
talk.
But the lack of advocacy after I delivered, you know, I'm told, like, you know, you can do an autopsy. It's so expensive, you guys.
Yeah.
We know why he's dead. That's what's going through my head.
Right.
Nobody, and everybody knew my situation, you know, like, I had this delivery at a hospital that is very closely connected with children's, you know, not just by, like, location, but also, like, integration. And they all knew my situation. So I just feel like
they knew you had
looking back,
they knew you were
and
hopefully going to have
they
more.
knew this unknown, because even children's giving me this diagnosis, they were like, we think this is it.
Yeah, we're
We're not sure.
Yeah.
We think this is it. We're not sure. Now, looking back, I'm thinking, like, when you guys injected the potassium chloride into his heart, you guys were right there. You could have gotten amniotic fluid and done an amniocentesis.
Yeah.
You know? But I'm not thinking that.
Right.
I'm just thinking about making this horrible decision to stop his heart, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyways, fast forward. That I had a horrible year. I was also pregnant with one of my really, really good friends who I work with at the bar. We both were having boys. We got pregnant a month apart from each other. So she had her baby one day before I had my stillbirth. And it was a point of contention, unfortunately, due to both of us struggling with our mental health and me being in the depths of my grief for almost an entire year.
So the day you went in
was the day after she gave birth.
But the day
I
you
went
went
in-
in to
I went in
inject
the
his
night
heart,
she was giving birth.
she was giving birth.
But yeah, that was extremely difficult, and for a long time I was very, very resentful. Now looking back, I'm regretful of that and wish that I would have been in a better place, or I would have handled it a little better. But I felt like, you know, earlier this year I kind of got to a better place. I wasn't great, but I was definitely getting better. I started seeing a counselor that actually specializes in infant loss and pregnancy loss, and she's actually had a pretty significant loss, almost a full-term loss, like myself. So she's been amazing. But I then found out that I was pregnant again on Lila's second birthday. And I went in, I told Luke, and he was like, how accurate are those things? And I'm like, pretty accurate, but do you want me to take another one? And I took a digital one that said yes or no.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it said yes, and he's like, oh, okay. And, you know, it took a second, and I was like, so how do you feel? And he was like, I just hope this baby's healthy. And that was hard. Now we know that we have this potential genetic component. So I'm automatically going to the MFM, like right away, basically. I go to the MFM, and they said, so you can't get an amniocentesis, an amniotic fluid collection, until you're, I believe, 15 weeks is the earliest. And they can do something called a CVS at 12 weeks, maybe 11. I think 11 is the earliest. It stands for a chorionic villus sample. It is essentially a sample of your placental tissue. So we opted to do that so that we would know right away.
Absolutely.
So essentially what they're testing for are my variant and Luke's variant. They have the variants on file, so they know what they're looking for.
What are the chances of these variants again?
So with it being recessive, it is a 25% chance.
Okay.
So that's also why I didn't get on birth control right away, because I'm like, dude, the odds are totally in our favor. It is a 75% chance
Yeah.
that baby is healthy.
And you have a healthy living child.
And Lila is perfectly healthy. So we opted to do the CBS. It was horrible.
I was like, what does that entail?
A huge needle going into your abdomen.
Okay.
They do not numb you for anything. And the placenta...
Why would they?
Yes.
Too many resources.
This is going to be our soapbox right here.
Hashtag too many resources at the bottom of it. I'm sorry.
So it's a huge needle, long needle, that goes into your abdomen, and they're putting it into your placenta, which is a solid piece of tissue.
Mm-hmm.
And they need a sample of it. And honestly, what hurts the worst is once they get into the uterus, because your uterus is a muscle.
Right.
And as soon as it feels anything like penetrating it, it starts to contract. And that's extremely painful, as we know.
Yeah.
So that was really uncomfortable. But because they're trying to get a sample of a solid piece of tissue, they have to disturb the tissue. So they take the needle and they go like this. So anyone that's had a CVS, sorry for you. That fucking sucks, okay? And they get an extremely small piece of tissue, and sometimes they have to do several passes. And in my situation, they did 2. So that sucked.
2 different spots? Like 2 spots that they reinserted the
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was horrible afterwards. I was cramping for almost the whole day. And I had told Luke... Nice.
Sorry.
I had told Luke that I wasn't sure if I wanted to find out the gender, because we found out the gender for both kids before that. And I said, I don't know if I want to find out, just in case anything's wrong, you know? And part of me thought it would, like, keep my connection, like, from growing, you know, because I'm just trying to you know, keep some space between my mama heart and this fetus that I'm growing, because I don't know if I'm going to bring this baby home. And he wanted to find out. And I remember talking to one of my coworkers at the hospital, and she was kind of going through something similar where they were concerned about something genetic, potentially. It wasn't confirmed. It was her first pregnancy. And I remember talking to her about that specific thing, not wanting to find out the gender, and I asked her if she was going to find out, and she said, you know, I was going to find out if we knew something was wrong, because that is the only thing that I can control. And that completely changed my frame of mind, 100%. So I opted to find out. So we found out a week after I got the procedure that it was a girl. And it was a huge surprise, because both my second and third pregnancy, I was pretty sick. I was pretty nauseous. Not to your extent in any way, shape, or form, but I was none of that with Lila. So I kind of had a feeling my second pregnancy that it was a boy, just because it was so different. And then I had a feeling it was another boy because I was also sick. Come to find out, in hindsight, I've only been sick with my sick babies. So I wonder if that's right. I don't know. Who knows? So it took 4 weeks for us to get results back, and the doctor called me and woke me up after a night shift. I'm not even fully awake, and I hear my phone ringing, and I answer it, and she's like, hey, is Luke there, or is it just you? And as soon as she said that, I was like, what are you going to tell me? She was like, well, unfortunately, the testing shows that the fetus has inherited both variants. So I'm like, okay, I'm like not even fully awake, like I said. So I felt like I couldn't even like process everything. Right. Fast forward, I tell Luke, he's like, okay, like we just don't really know what to do, because Luke's variant is not linked to anything. So this is all still so uncertain. So it's like, and we have no proof. Yeah. We have absolutely
because
no
you didn't
proof.
do any of those things.
Correct.
With your second.
Correct. So when I get these CVS results showing that this baby inherited both the variants, I'm like, why didn't someone advocate for me, dude? Like, why didn't someone just, like, plant the seed? Just be like, hey, Tor. Because they even asked me at Children's if we were planning on having more children. Yeah. And I said, you know what? First off, I'm still processing what you're telling me. But, like, but the fact that I'm pregnant and my little, 15-month-old is running around this room, yes, we are trying to actively expand our family. Yes. No one thought to be like, hey, also, while you're at it, while you're terminating this very desired pregnancy, why don't you do genetic testing so that we know for sure, because we don't know. So, because of the level of uncertainty, Luke and I had an extremely hard time coming to a decision. And at this point, I'm about 16, almost 17 weeks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we had a phone call with the MFM that did the procedure. And she said, I think it's fair to watch and wait. Like, let's do, like, ultrasounds every 2 weeks. Like, just to see if we see any structural, anatomical abnormalities that coincide with this potential diagnosis. Yeah. So, I get one. It's fine. The MFM that I saw that day, he was very blunt. He was like, today everything looks fine, but, like, I don't want to give you false hope. Yeah. I am strongly suspicious that this is what's going on. I understand why you're doing what you're doing, but, like, also, I'm a little nervous. So then I go for another one, and this time I went by myself. Because Luke couldn't get off work and whatever.
Yeah, these appointments, like, it's never any discredit to dads, but
no, it's just the timing is shitty.
So many, and they're in the middle of the workday.
Yes.
And you run out of time, so like, it's dads so too, again, like, America tangent, but, like, we don't live in a world where we get time off work for our babies. Right. Like, those appointments add up fast.
Absolutely.
And people who have had bills from MFMs and things, like, they add up fucking quick too, and they don't just go away.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, you make that choice, like, it's okay,
You'll
go to work.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what, whatever, like, I'll be fine.
But in all fairness, it never fucking works in our favor.
Never.
It's always something detrimental when you do it by yourself.
I know.
Yes.
I know. So I go by myself, and I had a feeling. I was in the room getting scanned, and I saw the ultrasound tech measuring the kidneys over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I'm like, I realize that she's supposed to focus on this, but the fact that she's making sure she gets an exact measurement makes me think that something's wrong.
Yeah.
So the doctor comes in and she's like, so, to me today, the kidneys look slightly enlarged, and I will show you, like, a scale of, like, where they're supposed to be at this gestational age. She said they also look a little bright to me. I had a really, really good conversation with her. I'm like, it's not that I'm in denial, because I'm not. Mm-hmm. I have a hard time with the hyper-echogenicity being so subjective. So she was extremely receptive of that feedback, and she was like, I don't blame you for that whatsoever, because I'm making such a consequential decision. I need facts. Yeah. I need you to lay it out to me. Mm-hmm. But I also, this is going to sound so fucked up, I don't want to be pregnant longer than I have to if I'm not going to have this baby.
I get that, yeah.
And I do not want to go through what I went through last year. Ever again. She said, I respect where you're coming from. She said, let's do this. Because it was, like, late morning. She said, I'm going to release these images to the rest of my colleagues. I'm going to de-identify them. Just release the images to my colleagues in this practice.
Get kind of
she said, I'm going to get all of their opinions, and I will call you later. So she calls me, like, 5 hours later, and she's like, hey, so I just want you to know that pretty much everyone agrees with me. And there was a few doctors that actually asked if it was you, because they know my situation. They said they actually mentioned your name. And that, in and of itself, was enough for me to know that this is it, So I had to, unfortunately, ask her how to proceed with all of this. Like, where do I go? What do I do? Because I'm in a much different position than I was with my second baby. not as far along at all. At this point, I'm 19 weeks. So she's like, well, you have to call this outpatient clinic and make an appointment. So essentially, I was making an appointment for a surgical abortion. And I told them, I am having to make this decision for a second time within a year. I do not want to be awake. I want to just wake up and not be pregnant. That's it. And they said, that's fine. You can do it in the OR. But it's a 2-day process because your cervix is not dilated at all, right? At that gestation. So you go in and they put in what's called osmotic dilators. So they essentially soak up all the water that's in your vaginal canal and your cervix, and they slowly dilate your cervix. They do that the first day, then you go back the second day for the procedure. So I went in the first day, and I'm sitting in the room with my mom, getting ready to get these placed. And the doctor was like, well, I understand that you're under the impression that you're going to the OR tomorrow. And I said, yes. That's what I was told on the phone. And she said, that's not possible. And I'm like, okay, why?
Right.
And they're like, so the hospital that they are connected with, it was having issues with their sterile processing department, which processes all of their sterile equipment.
Yeah.
So they are prioritizing emergent procedures. So scheduling a procedure, I would be looking at 2 to 3 weeks out.
No.
So then I'm put in in a rock and a hard place. I have my mom and my mother-in-law in from out of town. Help me with our daughter while I terminate another pregnancy. I don't have the option. I don't have the option to push this out. And also, you guys are asking me to do such a difficult thing to continue to grow this baby for 2 to 3 weeks that I'm not going to have. So I'm like, you know what? You guys are putting me in a fucked up position, but that's fine. I'll just do it in the clinic. So they put me under sedation, put the dilators in. It was fine. I go back the next day. Just me and Luke went. And my mom and Luke's mom stayed at our house with my daughter. They give fentanyl, and they give a medication called Versed, which is a sedative.
Right.
So they said that they usually give 200 micrograms of fentanyl, which is a pretty hefty dose, and usually 2 to 4 milligrams of Versed, which is a hefty dose again. So, I remember them taking my blood pressure. I remember them giving me these meds. I remember them telling me that they were going to start the procedure, but I was really out of it. I woke up and was screaming at them during the entire procedure.
Pain.
Yes.
In pain.
And they kept giving me more medication. They would take my blood pressure, give me more medication. They stopped touching me. I would fall back asleep because I was so doped up.
Right.
And then they'd start again, and I would wake back up. I was sitting up, yelling, screaming at them to stop, telling them to stop, telling me that I need a break, telling them that I need to take a minute. Give me a minute. I can't do this. You need to stop. I remember all of this.
Right.
I remember sitting upright and yelling at them and telling them that I needed a minute. And I very vividly remember the doctor saying, Tori, she said, I'm almost done with the procedure, but if you can't tolerate the rest of this, I'm going to have to send you to the hospital to finish the procedure. And then she asked me if that's what I wanted to do, but I was so out of it that I went back to sleep. Right. So I'm not answering these questions. I'm not in a decisional capacity at all.
Yeah, not a mental clarity state.
At all. So they finally finish the procedure. I get through it, and I just go right to sleep. Right to sleep. And Luke is sitting right at my side.
For quite a while.
Yes.
Quite a while.
Unbeknownst to me, I am actively bleeding out. They put a Foley catheter into my uterus to inflate a balloon, and the balloon is at the very tip of the catheter, and they put the tip of the catheter at the top of my uterus and hyperinflated it, honestly, to put pressure on my uterus, and then it also has holes in it, the tip of the catheter does, to drain, so then they can monitor blood loss. So they start to try to wake me up and tell me that I've lost 2.5 liters of blood, and that they're concerned about me. So she does a bedside D&C. I'm awake for this. Usually done in the OR. So they
Usually not awake.
So they do a bedside D&C. She said, I don't know why you're bleeding. There's no retained products of conception. I've gotten everything out. I'm not sure what's going on. But I'm concerned about you. Like, we need to send you to the hospital. So...
Where I wanted to go in the fucking first place.
The irony is
oh my God, yeah.
It's just hysterical.
To live through all of this, you know.
My blood pressure sucked because I had no blood. For reference, you usually most adults have approximately 5 liters of blood in your body. And I had lost
You're already
half
down
of
2.
that.
Yeah.
2.5.
2.5.
By the time I got to the hospital, I lost 3. So I lost over half of my blood volume. And you don't make it quick enough to replace that.
You need transfusions.
So I get to the ER, and I meet with the original doctor that told me that I could not go to the OR. She was at the hospital that day. And she comes down to the ER, and she said, I'm really concerned about you. These are basically the options. We take you to the OR, we do a D&C while you're asleep, so that we can make sure that, like, we really got everything out.
Right.
But I'm really concerned because I don't know where this bleeding is coming from. She said, I want to take you to IR, which is interventional radiology. And they wanted to inject, for lack of a better term, like something to basically block blood flow to my main arteries that feed my uterus. Because they did not know where the bleeding was coming from in my uterus. So they wanted to stop blood flow to it. Mm-hmm. So they inject this foam, basic item, into these main arteries that feed your uterus and cut off blood flow to stop you from bleeding out. So she said, this is technically reversible. So if you want to have more children, you can come back in and we can remove it. She said, but it can affect fertility because you are cutting off blood supply to your uterus.
Right. Kind of killing
she said,
it, like, essentially.
Also, if that doesn't work, you're going to need a hysterectomy.
Oh, fuck.
And I'm sitting there, and Luke hadn't even made it to the hospital yet. So I'm still so doped up. Better, but still so under the influence of narcotics. I'm a healthy 31-year-old who wants more children. And I just had to terminate my 3rd pregnancy, my 2nd in a year. And, like, is this payback? Like, for making these decisions? That's exactly what went through my head.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? Let's go up the ladder. Okay, let's do it logically. Take me to the OR. Let's do a D&C. If that doesn't work, take me to IR. That's fine. And she was like, you're stable enough, like, I'm fine with that. So when the paramedics were giving a report to the ER nurses, I told you guys, like, they usually give 200 of fentanyl and, like, usually 2 to 4 of Versed. And like I said, those are very hefty medication, or hefty doses. I don't usually give 200 of fentanyl at a time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I received, in total, 500 micrograms of fentanyl and 10 milligrams of Versed. And I was still awake, yelling at these people.
And them wanting you to make logical decisions about your health.
That is correct. So, I'm really mad that there were 5 people in that room and no one fucking advocated for me.
Yeah, you had no intention of doing it there anyways.
None. So, I went to the OR, got the 2nd D&C for that day. A lot of people up my vag that day.
Yeah.
And I woke up and the bleeding had stopped. They didn't find anything in there. I think God had a hand in this. I really do, because there is absolutely no rhyme or reason why
that you were bleeding, that you lost that much,
that I was hemorrhaging, and then all of a sudden I stopped. I did end up receiving a blood transfusion in PACU. I was admitted for a full, like, over 24 hours, monitored, and then I was discharged the next day, and I still, to this day, like, haven't had any bleeding or anything aside from, like, my regular period.
Right.
So I was extremely fortunate, and I mean, it could have been a lot worse. And I even looked at Luke, like, I was like, you know, this is getting to a point where, like, we have to worry about if you're still going to have a wife, or, like, if you're still going to have a mom to your daughter, you know, like,
and that
and
is
you
deep.
know how that feels too.
Oh.
Like, that, I can't imagine. I mean,
those
like,
decisions, you can talk about them all you want, and in the moment when they happen, no matter what you've talked about, I feel like you're not prepared for them.
so I was supposed to get footprints, and I still haven't gotten them because I was rushed off to the hospital from that clinic. No one's reached out to me. Nothing. But yeah, so I'm not really sure what the future holds. Before I ended up hemorrhaging and being admitted, Luke and I had that conversation where we were like, what are we going to do? Because I wanted to have a plan after I was no longer pregnant. Like, am I just going to get an IUD? Are we done? And he said to me, I feel like this isn't even my decision to make because it's not me that has to go through all the physical things. He said, but if you're down to try one more time, so am I. And part of me, I am, but then, like, another part of me is like, but, like, maybe I'm just supposed to be Lila's mom.
Yeah.
You know? It's not how I envisioned my life at all. At all. Especially after having her, I'm like, I want more of you. I want 5 more of you.
More testing that they can do without you being pregnant?
No. And IVF is an option.
IVF is an option, and I remember the MFM saying that she would fight for me tooth and nail to try to get it covered by insurance.
Yeah, because it's currently not for her.
It's usually covered with known genetic conditions, but once again, with Luke's being so unknown, we technically don't have a known genetic condition. So yeah, it's a little complex. There's a lot of hoops to jump through if we do want to do IVF. We are not in a position where we can afford IVF on our own. Like, that's just
and it's not just like an easy alternate. Like, I don't know a lot about it, but I know people who've gone through it, and it's like it's also so extensive on your body.
It is.
Like, I don't think people talk about that either, where it's like, well, then you just get, if you can't have babies or you're having a hard time having babies or these things, it's like, go through IVF. And it's like, that's not like a cure-all or some easy alternate.
No, it's definitely not.
It's so hard on your body. It's so financially
debilitating. Yeah, it is.
When people are struggling to, like, barely financially make it anyways, to be like, just do IVF.
And then 100%. You're gonna have a baby that you have to afford, and I'm gonna pay this amount of money to have
just
said baby.
Them. And honestly, I said this to you, like, after the MFM, like, said that to me, like, and I was, contemplating that. It's like, I don't know that I would opt to do that right away. I feel such immense guilt for, like, I feel that in a way I'm, like, wasting life, because, like, my husband and I are, like, able to have babies. I'm able to get pregnant, and I, like, don't want to be, like, wasteful with that gift. But I know the hard that comes with having a baby, and I should say getting naturally pregnant with a baby, and going through the testing and waiting and all of the things and just being in this constant limbo period. I know that hard. I've navigated it. I have not navigated the hard of IVF and the stress of that.
And the implementing, like, and them not taking, and the cost, and the drugs, and the...
And I don't know that I would trade my hard for that hard.
Yeah.
You know?
That's...
And it's... I feel like, and this is me speaking out of turn, I don't really know, but, like you have a healthy, beautiful baby. Like, you can create life.
I know.
You can create healthy, beautiful, perfect life. And I feel like that's what's so hard.
That is hard.
Just like,
I know, because then I look at her
and
I'm like,
you've done it.
I know it's possible. I know it is, but, like...
Yeah.
But you're also sitting as a very logical medical person who was given a 25% chance of it happening. You're now 2 for 3 on it happening, and, like, your odds start going down a little bit, right? Like, when you start looking at it numerically, right? Like, in your head, when you're, again,
because in reality, it's a
odds
25% chance each pregnancy.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're
but it
right.
doesn't feel a lot like 25%.
It doesn't feel like a real
2.
25% when it happens 2 fucking times in a row.
I have a friend back home who's experienced a tremendous amount of loss as well, in very different circumstances, but just multiple losses, where she has 2 healthy babies now, but 3 angel babies, And I truthfully felt that it was all her angel babies are boys. So then it's like, can your body not carry a boy?
Wow.
Like, is there something, so like even, like when you said boy and girl, you know, like you're kind of like, is it just a boy? But no, not if our baby
and
girl
we thought
had
through that too, or like maybe it's a boy thing because Lila's a girl, and
I know. I'm telling you guys though, I think it's a thing that like I've only been sick with my sick babies.
Yeah. Which is also,
and there's just
like
so
my
much...
brain processing that for you instantly goes to how terrifying.
Yeah.
If you get pregnant
again the first time you feel sick. Like these natural anxieties that come with pregnancy anyways, like are so heightened in your current situation. Which is, it's just hard. It's just so hard when you think about, like, I don't know, we talk about this a lot. When there's some people that just, like, it's not that no one's deserving to have kids, but the people who have kids that just are not in the right
that have
frame
12
of mind,
and can't
right frame of mind or right place or right circumstance that just truly should not.
Or they just do it recklessly.
Yeah, recklessly.
That's
and then
a good
you're
word
just like,
for it.
there are people who work so hard to have kids. Yeah.
And like I just want more. I just want a healthy baby that I can bring home and love on, and I don't know.
And be the good mom that you are. Like you want to give the goodness and love that you know you have to another baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in like I don't know, there's something like very healing about babies too, you know?
Yeah,
to their just something about them. And I'm sure Lila's very healing for you as well. Like
100%
to have Lila, it doesn't ever cover up your grief and cover up what you've gone through. And I see your posts on social media all the time, and I'm like, fuck, I just kind of want to give her a hug. Like, my heart hurts for her.
Yeah. You know, I tell Luke, too, like, I'm like, you know, that's a whole nother episode talking about how it affects them, because, I mean, this has been such an immense thing for him to deal with and see me go through, and he just has to be the strong, like, I told him, too, if my son would have been my first pregnancy, I sincerely don't know that I would have survived it. Like, I think that I would have gotten to such a low point that I would have done something to myself.
Yeah.
And I had those thoughts after him, but it's Lila that got me up every day. And I kept thinking, every time those thoughts would surface, I would have another one of her, like, yelling mama through the house and looking for me, and
she needs you.
Like, she would be crushed, you know? And that kept me going.
Well, and you, like you said, like another episode, what the dads go through, what the husbands go through.
Think we bring them in
to mentally be.
You're gonna meet them.
Yeah,
they actually
to mentally sit
They
there
do.
though, helpless by your bedside. Very different circumstances, but same, like when Jason and I had to have the talk, like, what? Yeah, like, we're running into options here where, like, if they can't figure out why I'm bleeding and it doesn't stop, like, we're looking, not all good things happen here. Like, so then to go into the OR and, like, you can just imagine Luke sitting there, like, what the fuck? What if she doesn't come out? What if she doesn't come out alive of this? Like, what if I'm going home? Like, I think about that a lot. I think it gets discredited a lot. The mental that the men that the men hold when they're sitting there helpless, just literally praying to God not to take my wife, not to, you know. I say it a lot. My questions that I want to ask God on, like, why, the list is getting long. Like, sometimes when life is hard, like, and it just throws you and you never know the why, you sometimes are like, man, the day that I get to meet him, I feel like I'm going to have a few questions. Like, why? Like, yeah.
Yeah. I will say, though, I mean, I have gained many perspectives that I am extremely grateful for.
Yeah.
From these experiences. It has changed me as a mom. It has changed me as a nurse. It has changed me as a wife and just a person overall. Like, I feel like, in a way, these experiences have made me a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, I guess I just have to be thankful for that, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, you gotta be thankful for something.
Yeah.
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 Especially when shit gets tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When it's hard
Things
to find
get
those.
real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, so this one was...
We knew
it was heavy.
This one was heavy,
but
yeah.
necessary.
I feel like we really, like, warmed you guys up, though, in the order that we went in. Like,
yeah.
We really did from...
It was
we really worked our way up, and I didn't really realize it, but we did kind of, like, work you into, like, fuck, we've been through some shit.
But I will
say...
But
I think that's why we're here. We're here...
Exactly.
We're here because we're, like, things are not always pretty. They're not all fluffy. Things can be hard. But, like, we're still showing up for our kids every day. We're still momming. We're still showing up for ourselves. We're still trying to be girls in our 30s and quality moms and decent wives and
also
I
our
would
own
say
person.
okay creatures of society. Like, I hope that, like, that's why we're here and that's why we want to talk about it, is like, it does get really scary and hard sometimes.
It
and
does.
like, it also, like, we're gonna have this podcast that's just like today's episode's really deep and hard and real, and then some of them it's gonna be like constant laughing and we're gonna be joyful and we're gonna be talking about all the crazy things that we went through that week, and it's gonna just be fun and loving and like seeing the milestones that our beautiful babies are making. Like, that is the roller coaster of being a mom. Mm-hmm. Like, that is what we are just gonna sit each whenever we come to the table and talk about, is like, there are such high highs and there are such low lows. Mm-hmm. There are so many highs in motherhood too. Mm-hmm. But we have to focus and talk through and be real with the lows too.
Absolutely. None of us are alone. Like,
or we are going, or
we're not alone.
Aren't gonna make it.
And we don't have to feel alone.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of like why, you know, this is, especially like I said, you know, last episode, like, my situation specifically is such a taboo topic.
Yeah. 1 in 25,000.
Because you still only know, like...
But it's like people don't want to talk about it.
And you still only know, like, half of it. Like,
there's got to be other people.
Half of yours is still unknown.
Yeah.
Right?
It's 1 in 25,000, but there's 25,000 people that need this and want to talk about it and are going through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's super important to, if we can, like, create the platform that people can connect with other people that have gone through similar things, because shit is hard and it is so isolating at times.
Yeah.
I will say that again and again. And, like, motherhood should not be isolating.
I also think, even where you guys are located in Colorado and, like, western Nebraska, where we live in itself is isolating. Right? Like, it's isolating. You're not close to people all the time. No. You know, like, it's...
proximity. Yeah, and, like, and then you're inundated with technology where you feel really close, but you're not. Mm-hmm. Like, you've got constant stuff in your face all the time, but it's not connection. It's not communication. It's not a village. It's just stuff in your face all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, no wonder we're so alone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're inundated with fake stuff. So here we got no real people within 3 square miles. We're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But, so here we are. Creating a village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So come hang out with us.
Villagers.
Yeah. We're being villagers. Even when it's hard. And even when we're all going through our own journeys that are, like, not all bells and whistles. Mm-hmm. We are still trying to be villagers. We're still trying to show up for each other and listen to each other's stories.
All right. Well, that's enough wisdom for one day. Go hydrate, call your mom, and hug your babies. And hey, give yourself a little grace while you're at it. Catch us next time. Same place, same chaos. See you later.